love King David. I love me some King David. Somebody wrote lately, you need to go ahead and find you King David. Well, I'm looking, baby. Oh, I'm not really looking. I'm waiting. I'm waiting. Yes, I'm waiting on the Lord. I'm waiting. Okay, so anyway, I'm waiting on my King David. So don't worry about it, beloved. God's going to send them to me. I'm looking for that King David anointing, okay? So if you're upset about that, you're upset that that's what I'm waiting on, okay, take it up with Jesus, because you girls don't keep looking for King David. I'm not looking for King David. I know God is sending King David because I love me some King David. Okay, so King David, as we know, he started off as a shepherd boy. His family, unassuming, did not even see the potential in him. God did. And Samuel, the prophet at the time, went to the family's house. He saw all the sons. They thought it was another son. His father didn't even bring him into the house to test if he could have been king. They had to eventually call him in, like a Cinderella story, call him in. And then the oil only moved for David, and David was anointed king. David didn't go straight to kingdom. No, David went right back to being a shepherd, and he waited patiently for his promotion. And he continued to be obedient to God in the promise. He never went one step ahead of God. He never went one step behind God. He always followed God. And as you continue to go through his story, you know that he was not a perfect man. He made a lot of mistakes, but he strived for holiness. He wanted to be in right alignment with God. He understood the importance of being in right alignment with God. And so with that being said, he stayed in consecration. He fasted and he prayed. Worshiping was something he did. He wrote the Psalms. Y'all know he wrote the Psalms, and the Psalms were written out of him in anguish, out of him in worship, he's a musician. So David wasn't only a fighter, which you saw him on the field, fighting people, but he was also a musician. He liked making music. That's how he got into the palace to begin with. He was playing the harp for Saul. Right? So he was musically gifted. He wrote music. That's why the Psalms are the way that they are. He wrote music. In addition to that, he was a warrior in the field. Man wasn't afraid of nothing. Even when everybody else was afraid, he wasn't afraid. He said, "What's up? What's up?" So you're afraid of this giant. David had so much faith in God. He said, this giant is an uncircumcised Philistine. What can he do? He's not bigger than the God that we serve. And they had to say, okay, David, if he said, before I fight this Philistine, what you gonna give me? And they said, you can have my daughter. And he said, yeah, what else? And he said something about taxes. He said, okay, I'm in. Taxes forgiven, I'm in. Let's go. And he goes ahead and he knocks down the Philistine. Knocks down the Philistine. And so, again, Jabari, the Psalms are not all sad. Some of the Psalms are happy. Some of them are sad. Right? But he was a man of great faith. Man of great faith. He was a man after God's own heart. He did not allow how circumstances looked to determine his faith in God. And so I love David. I absolutely admire him as a man of God. And so one of the first things that I will say that you have met a man of God is that he's a man after God's own heart. And what does that mean? What does that mean, family? That's number one, a man after God's own heart. David was not a perfect man. David just was very committed to his relationship with God. He didn't allow anything to get in the way of that. That does not mean he always did things perfectly. We know from scripture that he did not. But what he did do was that he was faithful and always coming back to God. He never allowed the circumstances. Maybe he fell off. He went right back to God. Something else happened. He always wanted to get back in right alignment with God. There was a commitment. There was a deep love and commitment to God. That does not mean he was a perfect man. That means he was a deeply committed and loved God for real, right? And because of that, that dictated the way he moved in his life. All right. So Again, David, number one, man after God's own heart. So another thing, one of the things that I wrote down, and I was like taking notes about it and stuff. It says he was flawed, but he was faithful. David was flawed, but he was faithful. What does that mean? What does that mean? David had made a lot of mistakes, as we talked about before. Man after God's own heart. He had a big uh-oh. And God didn't take away the consequences of the uh-oh or the uh-ohs. But what David did, regardless of the consequences, he took it like a man. He took accountability. He said, God, I messed up. God, you know what? I deserve that. He never shied away from taking full accountability before God. So I love that idea that he's flawed, but he was faithful. Okay, so I love that. I love that about him. Flawed but faithful. I'm not looking for a perfect man, but he was faithful. Number two, he's a warrior. David was a warrior. David was not afraid to fight for what was his, whether it was a woman to his detriment, or whether it was a battle of a country where the odds were stacked against him, but he knew God was with him. He was fearless, or he seemed fearless. But if you read the Psalms, he was not fearless. He had fear, but he did not allow his fear to stop him. So it's a difference between, I don't fear nothing. I don't fear nothing. No. We all got fear. We're all afraid of something. But the one thing that David did not allow for fear to do was to stop him. He would not allow fear to stop him. I forget what energy and soul. He did not want fear to stop him. Never. He did not want fear to stop him. So at the end of the day, he didn't allow. I see you, Tommy. You went in and out, but I'm gonna have to message you. I'm gonna have to like look at that quickly. But thank you again, Tommy. Tommy showed up. I don't know. Tommy heard the story earlier with what happened with Cash App earlier, but anyway, you'll see. You'll play it back. You'll see. But anyway, he was a warrior. And let me tell you something, y'all. I was telling my brother this earlier. Women love a fighter. We love us a fighter because I like fighter. I like fighter energy. I like that. I like a man that likes to, can protect what is his. I've joked about it on different videos and reels. I've always said, I like me a protected man because I'm protective. So I like that. I enjoy that. That's something that women, I want to be controlled. I know I'm okay with that, But again, he was a protector. He didn't only protect his women. He protected his whole country. Okay, David was willing to go out amongst people that nobody else. If we look at all the kings, he had an audacity about him. He had an understanding of who he was that was deeper than what we saw. I mean, this man understood his position with God. He understood that with God, he can do all things, that if God was calling him to it, God was going to get him through it. That is exactly who God is. That is exactly what God will do. God is the type of God that he's going to show up and he's going to show out. And so David with his like protective spirit and just, you know what I'm saying? He was like, I'm a warrior. But here's the other part of him. He was a fighter, but he was also a musician, right? So in addition to having this tough exterior, he was a soft-hearted, he made music. David made music. He wrote psalms. He played the harp. Okay, David wasn't just out here, fighting and taking names. He was a musician that shed blood. Okay. And my pastor makes a joke about this all the time. He that women, we want a man that has that like a that Jesus loving, but he's a thug. Like we like that. We like a little, I would hope that the person that he knows me, you know what I'm saying? I'm a little rough around the edges, but I'm good. I'm redeemed. I've gotten better. I'm much better in my life. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm entertaining. Like it's not, it's gonna be fun. But I joke. Whole point is he wasn't just a warrior. He was a musician. He made music. Oh, that's beautiful. He made music. So he had this, I'm sorry, y'all. Every woman want a man that I know I'm not the only one. You want a man that you feel protected by, but he's soft towards you. He could be that to the world, but to you, he gives you that emotion. He's attentive to you. He's supportive towards you. That is a beautiful thing. It's the reason why I brought up the people that have supported me before, that show up on my lives. I love that. No, James, all women like them a man that they feel like can be protected by. That's like biological. Let's stop there. Now, do they want to? Now, I think I take all of my comments. All my comments are pretty much most women. We want a man that we feel can protect us, and we want a man that we can be soft with, and is soft with us. I know David was soft with us because he's a musician and a warrior. I like that because I feel like I'm a fighter. Like I'm here on this live. I'm swinging. I'm gonna make the enemy mad. I'm still here. I don't care what the enemy throws at me. I'm still here. I'm still going to lock into what God has called me to do. I don't care what the enemy does. I'm still going to be locked in. I rebuke and bind the enemy right now in the name of Jesus, but I'm going to be locked in. God's called me to something. I'm going to do it. Right? But I do have a softer side. I do. I just can't show it like that. But I do have a softer side. So I like that dual, you know what I'm saying? We like that both sides. I think guys like the both sides too. Like I like a little spicy, but I do want her to be soft. I don't want raw energy all the time. But you know what I'm saying, y'all. Y'all know what I'm saying. I don't need to have to keep going on. Whole point is David got that, take charge energy, that, I'm a man energy. Not trying to, he wasn't just saying it. I'm a man. He wasn't doing that. We knew the fruit was fruiting. We knew he was about that life. We knew that when David decided he was going to do what he was going to do, when David was going to do what he was going to do, David did it. You know what I'm saying? They knew, like, okay, we sending David out. Okay, he about to annihilate. We know. David about to annihilate. David about to do it. And that's a very beautiful thing, right? So anyway, warrior with a worshiper's heart. And then next one is that he's purpose-driven, not popularity-driven. Purpose-driven, not popularity-driven. What I love about David was that he didn't care. He cared about what people thought, but he didn't. In fact, you see a story in the Bible where his wife, he's worshiping God, and he literally worships until he's naked. I don't know how that happened, but he's in the courtyard and he's worshiping. He's worshiping to the point and dancing around, and he ain't got no clothes on. And his wife, who was Saul's daughter, has something to say about that. Right? And Saul, and she's like, you look, he comes in and he's like, wait, hold up. You you look crazy out there. You look actually foolish. And And he was like, and he was like, I'm worshiping God, beloved. And honestly, if I was Dave, I'm like, wait, who house you living in? I forget. I could have sworn you were a Bill. I could have sworn when you came out to ask me about what I was doing, I could have sworn you were a Bill. That's what I thought. I thought you was a Bill. Bills talk. That's funny. I didn't think I actually didn't know. I had no idea that bills could talk and tell me what I'm doing is foolish, while this whole kingdom, the only reason why I have this kingdom and the only reason why I have you here is because of the grace of God. So that's a funny little tidbit, but like, hold up. You're funny. But again, he didn't care what his wife thought. He didn't care what she had to say about how he was worshiping God. He didn't care what the people in the town thought about how he was worshiping God. He unapologetically worshiped God in any way, shape, or form he felt led to in the spirit. He didn't care. He didn't care if he was in it. And literally, they made fun of him at one point because Saul's chasing him and his life is on the line. And he could actually take Saul out, but he was trying to honor God's timing. And so he had the position to take Saul out, and he did it. He had the time, he had the position to take Saul out, and he did it. And so they're like, wait, you was in the cave with him, and he was using the restroom, and you didn't take him out? And they're like, he's like, nah. They're like, David, what are you doing, bro? We've been living out here in caves all this time. And you're not going to take out the man that didn't been putting us in these caves this whole time? Like, what are we doing? But he honored God. He trusted divine timing. And even though that was a rough time in his life, he didn't allow it to draw him to things that were not of God. He understood God's timing. Not a perfect man, but understood that I need to wait on my turn. I'm not going to force my turn. I'm going to wait patiently on God. The other part of that family, though, is he didn't, when he's waiting on divine timing, he's also in his mind understanding that God's timing is better. He's not going to procrastinate. So when God put something on his spirit to do, he did it. He was not disobedient. But in addition to him not being disobedient, he also knew the beauty in divine timing. A lot of us don't understand that. Divine timing. David understood that. He understood that when God makes it happen, that's when it should happen. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video. I appreciate you guys. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button, y'all. Let's not just be every once in a while. Let's become family, okay? Friends that are family, okay? Join my family today.